All right. I'm in what might be my last day commuting in my Tesla Model S P100D. Not sure if I'll post this video or not. There's a million videos out there about Tesla Model S's, but since it's potentially one of my last drives before my Rivian comes in, I figured I might as well take a little recording, see if I can note some stuff I liked and disliked about my Model S. For starters, I'm in traffic, of course, going north on 93 into Boston, and the car is driving itself, which is amazing. Honestly, the car is fine, if even, frankly. I'll get into that in a minute, but there are two reasons to buy a Model S, particularly, or even, I guess, really any Tesla, but I couldn't touch a 3 or a Y. I hate the fact that there's no instrument cluster on them, and I hate the reduction in buttons and blah, blah, blah. But the S is like, it's a fine car, but autopilot is absolutely fucking amazing. It blows everything else completely out of the water. It's just not comparable. It's something that I'm going to miss a lot. I'm actually scared of how much I'm going to hate Rivian's Driver Plus, because it's effectively, I think it's supposed to be pretty terrible. All the reviews I'm seeing anyway are, particularly compared to autopilot. I mean, like I said, right now I'm just resting my hand on the wheel and this thing is doing all the work for me. Autopilot is so good that if most driver assistance systems will sort of make you add a little bit input from time to time, where autopilot, if you add too much input, it kicks it off because it knows what it's doing. It says, leave me alone, let me do my job. Just rest your hand on the steering wheel just in case I need you, but I've got this. And now I have used autopilot through an absolute pouring rainstorm at night in the middle of nowhere, Vermont, going through some super windy roads to the point where I actually couldn't see all that well, so I turned on autopilot because I thought it could see better than I could, and it drove better than I could. It's just that good. It's unreal, and I am not a Tesla fanboy by any measure of the word, but autopilot is incredibly good. Now, this car has autopilot 2.5, the autopilot 2.5 computer, but I didn't purchase FSD or enhanced autopilot or anything like that. This is base autopilot. So the only thing I don't get out of this is lane changing, which actually is annoying because my wife's 85D has autopilot 1 and it has lane changing. So why don't I get lane changing? It seems silly. But anyway, yeah, autopilot is absolutely incredible. The other obvious thing about buying a Tesla is you get, whoops, am I still here? Yeah, here I am. All right, I'm back. I guess I'll combine these videos. So, what was I saying? So, obviously, the other great thing about buying a Tesla, hang on, let me move back here a little bit so it doesn't come flying toward me again, is access to the supercharger network. People can say, again, they can say whatever they want to about Tesla's the car, but I'd say a minimum of 33% of the reason to buy a Tesla is autopilot. Another 33% of the reason to buy a Tesla is the supercharger network. And this is in comparison to other cars that rely on third-party networks. Tesla supercharger networks, the superchargers rather, just work. They just work. You get there, you press a little button, your charging door opens, and you plug in, and you go and do your thing, and your car charges. That's it. And on top of that, they're all damn near. So a lot of them are on the highway, and some of them are really close to the highway. Electrify America, if you watch YouTube videos, a lot of people out there will say, I have never had a problem with Electrify America or any of the other third-party networks. But I don't know where they live. They seem to be somewhere that has really good luck with that stuff, because in New England, Electrify America networks, let's say 50% of the stalls work at any given moment. 1 or 2 of them will always be taken up by a car by the time you get there. You're lucky if 50% of the stalls work. Sometimes all of them don't work. So it could be a real drag. And then on top of that, even if you go into, let's say, so I do an annual trip down to Jacksonville from Boston, Jacksonville, Florida. And if I, just on sheer mileage, if I switch my car from a Tesla to a car that relies on a third-party network, doesn't matter what the car is, the mileage count goes up by a solid about 100 miles because all of the Electrify America networks, or all of the third-party chargers, let's not narrow it down to EA, but all the third-party chargers are way off the highway, a lot of times. So yeah, it ends up being kind of a drag. And this is all stuff that unfortunately I'm going to have to start dealing with because I'm getting a Rivian. That's just how pumped I am about the Rivian. I'm willing to make all these concessions. So other stuff with the Model S, I've had it for 6 months now, and I still haven't been able to get comfortable in it. I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. I'm not a particularly wide person, but the seats, so this is a 2018. It's got, I think it's like the 4th gen seats. I don't know. But the bolsters were so incredibly idiotically tight that I actually had to peel back the skin on my bolster and shave it down a bit. And again, I'm not a particularly wide person. And then so I did that, and that actually helped a ton with the sort of back comfort. But there's something really weird with these cars. It seems like they really focused on passenger comfort in this car, and this is a trend now that I absolutely hate, because passengers didn't buy the car. I bought it. This is my car. I want to be comfortable in it. Okay, so one thing that I've noticed that all auto manufacturers are doing now is panoramic glass ceilings, so the people in the back seat will feel less claustrophobic. I don't care about them. I almost never have anybody in the back seat anyway, but I don't care about them. I want a friggin' sunroof, okay? It's my car, I want a sunroof. And I, as the driver, don't benefit from a panoramic. In my line of sight right now, I cannot see the glass sunroof on this, which extends to the same point that the panoramic sunroof, the panoramic glass roof would extend to. I hate that. And again, my Rivian does not have a sunroof. It's going to drive me absolutely nuts. I use the sunroof so often on this car. I've got it set to one of the hot buttons on the steering wheel, because I look. All right, I just did that. Boom, open. Boom. Maybe I want it 25% open. Yeah, boom, open, close. And look at this. Here, let me open it up all the way. Look how big this friggin' sunroof is. It's absolutely incredible. I'm totally gonna be that guy skipping to the front of the line, but I don't care, whatever. And then I just want to close it. Okay, boom, click close. Now I wish it still had a button up here. It's kind of stupid, but yeah, I use the sunroof that often. I love a sunroof. I don't know why we decided to get rid of those. So anyway, without the sunroof, the current Model S, which does not have a sunroof, it has the full panel glass. In my line of sight, I cannot, all I see is, yep, it's coming at me again. Too much power. All I see in my line of sight is the pillar here. Seriously, all this stuff this is gonna be a great video. All I see is this, and the pillars and the dash. So I don't get to see any of, like, it feels very claustrophobic in here. Now the car is big. It's really wide in back. There's loads of room for rear passengers. And it is wide, but it feels super claustrophobic in here. And it's really, it's just something I've never been able to get over. And, on top of that, legroom is strange. I feel like, again, I'm 6'2". Most people are not as tall as I am, so they won't maybe have these complaints, but it feels to me like I'm sitting on a chair on the floor, and my knee, my left leg, because obviously you don't use your left leg at all in a Tesla, is like super pushed up. Now obviously my other option, what I could do is push the seat up, but then I'm like in the ceiling. you know, and my head is even closer to this pillar here, which is, I mean, I'm maybe a foot away from that. You know, that is super, super claustrophobic. In my natural, comfortable driving position, it seems to me like they put the people in front way too far forward on this car. And I commend the reason they did it, because there's no engine in this car, so they wanted to make as much room as possible for the passenger sort of compartment, but they sacrificed driver comfort, and the driver is the owner most of the time. I bought the car. I don't care how comfortable my passengers are at all. Literally at all. I could give an absolute shit. In fact, I'm married. I've got a wife, and she's the passenger on this side, but we don't have kids. There's almost never anybody in the back of this car. And there's so much room wasted back there. And I have a feeling, yeah, I know that a lot of families take road trips and whatever, and maybe from time to time you've got a kid in the back or two. But I have a really strong feeling the vast majority of the time a car is driven, it is driven by the passenger, by the owner and driver alone. And I wish that they had made more of a focus on driver comfort in this car, and they haven't. It's just not comfortable. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a griping video. It's been an excellent utilitarian car. It's a P100D. I actually haven't even bothered turning on Ludicrous Plus because I haven't brought it up to the drag strip because we all more or less know what time it does. Ludicrous is like plenty of power. So I just really haven't needed to. The Ludicrous is actually, you almost never use it because it doesn't give the same sensation that, driving an ICE car does as far as fun factor. Now, I do use it when I've got a very small portion of room to pass somebody. I will actually full on wide open throttle the thing. And that has been absolutely excellent. I mean, I love having that amount of power. But most of even like an 85 or a 90 or a 100D will get damn close to that. You can feel the horsepower of the P100D fall off at speed. It's really much more about torque and much more impressive off the line than it is, say, going, I don't know, 80 and trying to pass somebody, whatever. But it is a very fast car. I mean, have absolutely no doubt. But again, with that said, I can't say I particularly enjoyed driving it very much. Again, I think it's mostly because I was never really able to get very comfortable in it. And it's kind of, electric cars tend to be more utilitarian to me. They don't really have that fun factor that ICE cars have. So, stuff that I've liked. I love the big screen. I wish this car had a newer computer. If you buy I think it's 2018 or prior, it's going to have the MCU1, which is absolutely borderline unusable, honestly, which is kind of a joke to me because if you buy a car from 2018, like that's a damn near modern car. Like, why is the computer so bad? But I can tell you why. It's because they use a processor from 2012 up until 2018. Which is also a joke, but it is what it is now. Love the gauge cluster on this car. Right now I've got my nav on the left side. I've got the sort of autopilot-y information in the middle, and then on the right I've got my efficiency. You can have your music up here. You can have all, it's a very, very useful gauge cluster. Love that. Yeah, I think that might more or less be it. Now I'm entering into Boston, and I'm sure this phone is going to start flying all over the place, but let's see, what else? Let's take this very slowly. Oh dear. Okay. Okay, so road tripping storage has been absolutely excellent. I can say that much. I just took it up to Vermont and back with my 2 dogs in back and wife in the passenger seat. Trunk loaded with a bicycle, as well as like all the stuff we needed for a week's worth of vacation, and it fit everything excellently. But on that note, so it rained the whole way going to Vermont, rain the whole way coming back. And the best I was able to get is about 360 watts per mile, which equates to somewhere like maybe 2.8, 2.9 miles per kilowatt, which is pretty bad. And then, so again, this is a P100D, fine. But then today, so coming into Boston, it's 49 degrees. It was 47 when I left. Coming into Boston, I usually get about 290, even with the traffic and whatever. But because it's below, let's say, my usual of 60 degrees the past however long, I'm at 340 today, which is, again, not even 3 miles per kilowatt, it's pretty bad. You know, the efficiency is seemingly bad in cold, or foul weather or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, there's that to think about. So I originally traded in this car, or I traded in my Mustang Mach-E for this car. Would I do it again? I think probably not. So I had a California Route 1 Mustang Mach-E, and my gripe with it was the bolsters, same as they are with this car. I got a Model S because my wife has a Model S as well, and her seats are like the most comfortable seats I've seen for a long time. So I wanted those, but of course I got the next generation seats, which also have too tight of bolsters because sports car. So what I really should have done with the Mach-E is just pulled off, brought it to an upholsterer and had the seats shaved, and then it would have really been fine. So it was a California Route 1, so it was rear-wheel drive only, so nowhere near as fast as this car, which is totally fine. It was fast enough for me. I think the Mach-E looked better. I think it probably had a bit more storage. It was definitely more headroom, less claustrophobic. You know, I would have relied on third-party networks, but the fact of the matter is I use those very rarely. Usually I just charge in my office for free. The Mach-E was also quite a bit more efficient than this. I got through the mountains of Vermont on my Mustang Mach-E when it was freezing. I got over 3 miles per kilowatt, which is quite a bit better than this car has been able to do. Again, I've got the P, I understand, I know, and I've got the 21s, but there seems to be a huge fluctuation in the efficiency of this car. On, you know, an 80 or 70 or 80 degree day driving home, all highway from like Connecticut to Boston, I could get 280, 290 watts per hour, watts per mile, which equates to probably 3.1, 3.2 miles per kilowatt in this car. But now that it's cold, man, the efficiency is really, really tanked. And I just tend to think that that's a Tesla thing and not just a P100D thing. So, yeah, in hindsight, I probably would have just kept the Mustang Mach-E and had the seats shaved. But c'est la vie. I mean, the one thing I have absolutely loved is having the sunroof, which the Mustang Mach-E did not have. But now I'm going to a Rivian, which also doesn't have it, so it's kind of a moot point. So, yeah, anyway, I'm not sure if I'll post this or not, but if I do, thank you for watching. My opinions on my Tesla P100D. Goodbye!